Hi, it's Phil Bedford here, the Rebel Networker, and today I'm talking podcasts with Larissa. Larissa's with B2B Marketing now, and she's a podcast host. Larissa, hi.
Hello, hi Phil. Yeah, and thank you for interviewing me. I'm normally on the other side. Yeah,
you are on the other side. We've just switched the tables because you just interviewed me, and I thought, I got to interview you.
That's interesting. That's a very interesting experience to actually answer questions instead of asking them.
Well, let's go, eh? So, I mean, obviously we're going through a new world at the moment. I think podcasting is increasingly becoming something that people are looking at as a way of marketing their business, correct?
It's everybody recognizes the opportunity once they start doing their own podcast shows, but absolutely right. So be it a big corporate structure, be it probably growing startup, whenever you've got at least a small budget to start recording regularly, I would strongly recommend doing that.
So what would you say the advantages of podcasting are over other forums of marketing?
So we've been talking about networking with you. Mm-hmm. So podcast combines a lot of things in one. So you are creating content, a marketing tactic, right? So we all need new content. Podcast allows you to network with absolutely interesting people, or you can be strategic. You can talk to your potential clients, to your prospects, etc. So you're building relationship. You are learning about people, about their domains, about their pain points, about their personalities, depending on what you require for your business. And this whole conversation, this whole format allows you to network efficiently and to create content at the same time, right?
Okay. Now, we actually met on LinkedIn.
Yes.
And you came along to one of the networking events on Zoom that I was running. So I always find this interesting because I do meet a lot of people on Zoom and on LinkedIn, and I always think, well, the trouble is you just click connect, right? There's nothing any more than that. But, you know, I invited you to a networking event, you came along, and it was super to meet you, and then we're here today, and, you know, I've had an interview, you've had an interview. And I think this is kind of how LinkedIn could be used as a catalyst. But what would be your advice to people who are using LinkedIn based on what you've seen?
So you have to understand your goal. So whether you are on LinkedIn to search for a job, or to search an opportunity for your business, or to just make your business networking more efficient, you need to understand why you're there and what you want to share. What kind of value are you bringing to that particular environment? Because, say, for example, I'm not a big fan of, you know, people who are just sending you a message offering you a service right away on LinkedIn. I mean, there are multiple memes nowadays that are showing how inefficient that strategy is to just reach out and say, okay, buy something from you.
So a bit like cold calling, face-to-face networking, right?
I know, yeah. It's so awkward when people are doing that. So you can definitely connect and you can add connections to your LinkedIn profile. There's nothing wrong in sending invitations, right? But then what you do is how you use your profile to build that network, to build that relationship with that particular connection, right? So people understand what you do, how they can add value to you, what value they can get from you. So it all comes to an interesting, engaging, valuable content you're sharing about the area of your expertise, maybe some thought leadership, etc. So, I mean, thought leadership is overused nowadays, but it's all about how you leverage, create content, what kind of news you're reading, what kind of articles you're sharing, what kind of captions you attach to those articles. I mean, this is all considered to be content, yes.
But I think also, so from my perspective, is you were willing to take action, which is when there was an offer to say, hey, let's have a chat, let's meet each other, you took that. And do you think that's something maybe a lot of people are missing?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree with you. People do not take, you know, things like getting on a Zoom call after you connected or you requested, so somebody offered you an opportunity to network, they don't take it seriously. I mean, you need to make it takes an effort. So when you connect with someone, you actually understand his profile, his or her profile, what a person is doing. Send a friendly message saying, I'm looking forward to staying connected, explaining your interest. Like I like your content, for example, or I came across really interesting book titles that are featured on your profile, and I can see you're talking about marketing, you're talking about how to be efficient on a Zoom, and that's already, you know, building a bridge between you and me, and creates an opportunity for us to take it further, right? Yes.
I think you said that. That's the secret, to take it further. You know, you're not going to take every relationship further, but you know, if there is that synergy and you want to take it further, magic happens in the real world, right? Magic happens when you take that next step. So I mean, we wouldn't be sat here today if, you know, it's interesting. So if you were going to give, what would be your top 2 tips for somebody who's getting into podcasting? So the 2 biggest mistakes maybe that people make, or the 2 biggest things they'd have to consider.
Podcast is, so we should understand that podcast is a media product. So it's a product that requires a lot of production and post-production work. So it's an effort. So we have to remember that. That's why getting into podcast, as getting into any content production, requires a little bit of strategy. So you need to understand why you're doing that. And to be able to compete in the oversaturated content world, you need to focus on something valuable. So something that dear to your heart, probably, or to your profession, and something that audience will absorb, audience will consume from your podcast. So you have to be self-aware. So about why you're doing it and what you're trying to achieve with this.
Great one. Okay, so to keep this, just before we wrap up, I just wanted to ask you something. I'm going to throw this right out of left field. You're not going to expect this. If you were marooned on a desert island and you have one person on the world, now you're not allowed to say family, right? Because we all have to go family, otherwise we get emotionally in trouble, or someone pops us when we go home. So without immediate family, who would you be on that desert island with? And it could be somebody who's fictitious, dead already, or still alive?
Well, definitely still alive.
Otherwise it wouldn't be very interesting, would it? But we can assume they would be alive with you.
Yeah, definitely still alive. I would be actually looking at somebody who can sponsor my show. So somebody who would be interested to sponsor B2B Marketing Now podcast. I think that would be a great way to build relationship on an island.
On the desert island, right? So you'd be still running your podcast on the desert island?
Well, I would find a topic to discuss, definitely. And that is a good way to build relationship, right? And
so who would you want to sponsor you if you could have anybody in the world?
You mean a particular person?
Yeah.
Well, somebody who is as passionate about making a difference as I am, actually. Yeah, because I know marketing is so many dimensions. I want to be somebody who is prepared to experiment, somebody who wants to make a difference in this particular area. And
so any entrepreneurs who you respect enough?
I can't say I came across yet the name who would be, but I mean somebody I'm partnering with now, like Podster.com. They're really brilliant. Okay. So I'm really grateful for people I meet online, and I wish we had somebody who also is willing to invest into that. Say. Okay.
So it's open. Anyone that's listening to this, there's a spot on a desert island. So you can come and invest in a podcast.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Fantastic.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, Larissa, thanks for spending the time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Phil.
Take it easy.
Yeah, it feels great. Huh?
Bye-bye.